I think what makes a good short film is that it's short.
Period. Short.
You really have to be able to sell your story quickly.
Having a good story.
An idea that it's original to that filmmaker.
Nice and simple.
Developed characters and story arc.
Not trying to cram too many ideas.
In a short amount of time.
Something relevant that holds your attention.
So that people are interested from the get-go.
It's got to have some sort of hook at the end so the viewer thinks one thing's going to happen, and then at the end of the film, something different transpires that's surprising.
I'd say that's what makes a good short film.
Ideas for short films come from anywhere.
Your imagination.
Your own experience.
Just little things in my everyday life.
Sitting at a stoplight and looking over the next car and imagining where that person's going.
What's a day like for a homeless person?
Just any little experience can be the perfect inspiration for a short film.
The big challenge is converting just an idea or part of an idea to something that we really want to say.
I'm very interested in the creative process and how people come up with ideas. One that is consistent for me is actually drawing. You know, I keep these little journals of written documentation of my life, but also, you know, I like to doodle. And these doodles inspire ideas for short films, live action films, but also animated films.
Once we've got that idea, we're going to create what we call an outline or a treatment for that short film. Just a brief write-up. It's not a screenplay at all, but a very short outline of the key scenes in this film. How does this begin? How does this develop? How does this end? Maybe an outline about who these characters are, a little bit about their story before they enter the story of the film. We can then go to a screenplay. We can think of a screenplay as a blueprint for both our cast and for our crew. How do we begin to convey instructions to our crew and instructions to our cast, which includes what they're saying, how are they saying it, and when are they saying it? There's software available now that makes it very easy for us to write a screenplay. We have software called Final Draft, for example, that's designed specifically for us to write a screenplay, and another software package is called Celtics. That software also can make it very easy to write a screenplay that looks just like professionals do. The wonderful news about Celtics is it's even free for students, for anybody who's a non-professional to use and create their screenplay so that they've got a blueprint in order to shoot their film.
Once you have your first draft, I give it to my fellow colleagues and friends and even sometimes family to read, and then I go back and do my next drafts.
I usually never use a first draft. I always get a second opinion. I'm always having someone else, read it and reread it until I feel like I've pretty much got the best possible script.
And then once their feedback comes in and I do enough drafts that I feel like they're happy, and I think a mass audience will be happy, then I'm happy.
And now the next question is, okay, how is this actually going to look? How will this look as we establish the scene that we're beginning? Storyboard is a series of images that in essence capture key shots that we might want to have in our scenes.
With storyboarding, you're kind of pre-planning everything, so you have to consider camera angles and the 180-degree line, but you also are considering editing and how frames are going to be put together or scenes are going to be put together. All right, this is from New Shoes, and it's like the first scene from it. In this one, we're following our main character from frame right to frame left, and then we go into a wide shot, and then our character comes in from right to left, and it's kind of an establishing shot so we can kind of see what's going on and where he's going. And then we go back to a medium shot where he's bending over and picking up trash. And that becomes kind of a montage of different shots where we also include inserts of our main character picking up the trash. And then we go back to kind of a medium wide shot as the character walks out of frame. We cut to another scene, in a sense, where he goes to a dumpster, and then we go overhead of him digging in the dumpster, and then it comes out to a wide of him walking towards the camera. And then we go to like a wide shot, which becomes a montage of an abandoned school.
I think it's really, really important for students to push themselves to create an animatic. And an animatic is just a further extension of the storyboard where you take the panels and you sequence them in time. And it's a chance for someone to actually see their film for the first time in time.
So storyboards are great for helping us make that transition from the printed page to the point where we can go on the set and be ready to go.
You can now start location scouts to see where you're going to film it. You can start your casting calls. You can start funding. And you can start putting together all the pieces that you want, including your crew.
You can't make a short film without your crew, without your people. People with really strong work ethics.
After I chose my DP, my director of photography, I got to also choose my first AD, my assistant director, and from there they went out and picked who they wanted to work with. So my DP chose his AC, from the AC they chose their gaffer, along with our sound guy, other crew members like PAs, catering.
So I like to have a small crew and just a camera person, a boom operator, possibly sound mixer, and then just one other person as an extra set of hands to either move lights, set something up, grab a prop.
Sometimes you have enough crew members so that you don't have to jump around everywhere, but sometimes you have a small amount of crew, and so I'll finish doing my makeup for the scene, and then I may be on set moving lights around, or I might be slating. For student films, sometimes you kind of move around a little bit and you just do whatever you can to help and move the shoot forward.
And then after that, I start putting together the locations of where all the scenes in the script take place. After that, you get into my casting. The casting process is a difficult one in which I really define each of my characters, and then I put out a casting call out to the public, and I interview each potential actor for a role. And if I think that they fit the role, or they might fit the role, I'll do a callback, in which then I have them audition with certain pages from the script and see how it works. And if it works, sometimes I'm blessed with the exact character that I wrote, or I get a much better character. I get a character I never even saw coming.
After I casted, I held a rehearsal with my 2 actors and just really tried to help them understand what the scene was about and give them the correct tools to help bring my interpretation of the screenplay through.
And once I had my crew, my casting, my locations, and my money, I had a movie. My casting, my locations, and my money.
I think budget is always something we want to be thinking about when we are planning our short film and developing the idea for the short film and writing the script for our short film. As an example, if we decide to have bombs going off and we're going to blow up a car, that's going to be a problem, most likely, for our short film. We should be thinking about, can we reduce the number of locations? Can we reduce the number of actors that are in our story?
Animation does tend to be much cheaper than shooting live action film, whereas with filmmaking, live action filmmaking, I mean, even having 1 or 2 people, a little bit of equipment, some food for people, it can be very expensive.
Crowdfunding is this great device that you can use the web in order to fund your projects. And there's a couple of great platforms on the web called Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And basically, it's a way for you to raise money on the web, but it's also building your audience.
You try and get awareness of the film out there. That's a big part of crowdfunding. It's not just gaining money, it's raising awareness.
Who is interested in my project? How can I attract them to my project? And either they can help spread the word about my project or they can actually give me money for my project.
And in this particular case, I used a website called Indiegogo.com. And blogged, tweeted, yelled, shouted, put up flyers at local businesses, did anything I could in order to get people interested in the project and get traffic on the website, and hopefully from there, they would donate. I put up a goal of about $3,000, and that's after I budgeted out the script and how much I would think that I would need. I ended up reaching my goal and then some, which was quite terrific.
So very important there always, I think, to be thinking about budget, particularly for a short film. We want that opportunity not to just make this short film, but to make the next short film and the next short film.
Production is the actual filming of your film.
Starting to work towards that end product, getting everything that you need, whether that be specific coverage and different locations, B-roll, everything.
The biggest thing about having a successful production and the key things to have on a production, first and foremost, is having a schedule and trying as hard as possible to stick to that schedule and making sure that everyone's on the same page. So really, communication. Let me go back and actually put communication on the top of that list.
Talking to the person who's doing set deck and talking to the cinematographer and making sure that, everything's lit the way I've chosen and that our camera movements are working with my interpretation of the script. And it really is cool because it comes together. Everyone has a role. Everyone wants, the director to succeed.
You and your crew and even your producer and sometimes even your writer are now on set, on location, shooting the script that you originally wrote. And that is probably the scariest part because you have no idea if all your pre-production skills are going to come into play, or if you're going to fall flat in your face, or if you're going to have a fun crew, or you don't even know how the crew is going to work together yet.
You have to be able to think on your feet and be in the moment with what's going on before you.
Anything can happen on a film set, whether it be weather, if you're shooting outside, if an actor isn't prepared, if they're just in their head and you can't, help them stay in the moment.
The dog is barking outside, or whether you're shooting a fiction in the exact same location and someone's cutting a tree outside.
On Sarah Chalice's shoot, we were shooting kind of in this very dense wooded area by a house. And our only source of power was a generator. We were shooting at night, so it was imperative that I had light. We only had so many lights available, so they kind of had to take a light from set, and then they just put us right next to the generator, so any noise that we made wouldn't matter anyway.
You have to be able to work with the elements and adapt.
But once you get done with that first day of shooting and you realize how the crew is working together, I think you pretty much know how the rest of the shoot is going to go.
Understand the importance of getting coverage, because a lot of times you won't see your story fully until you get into the edit room. And if you don't have enough coverage to actually manipulate rhythm and the pacing or the flow of shots, you can't really control things in the edit room.
My goal when I was shooting was to get as many shots as I could, and I had no idea how it was going to turn out until I got into the edit room and I started to piece it together.
If you have enough coverage, you can really control things in the edit room.
You have wrapped on principal photography. You can now begin to edit your film.
It takes a lot of organization. You need to have all your media together, you need to have it organized, you need to have it sub-clipped, you need to have it categorized, named, everything.
And then I had to sync the sound because we recorded the sound separate along with the video so that we could manipulate each one on its own instead of together. So after syncing the sound and converting the footage and then labeling the footage, I can now actually start editing it.
Editing is actually an extremely creative process.
I usually start by organizing all of my footage and start choosing, the best takes of each shot. And once I have everything laid out, I go back and I start really polishing the final cut.
So the editor spends a lot of hours in front of a screen, moving shots around and figuring out what works best to unfold the story.
The editing process can be really, really long.
I mean, it took me like 7 hours out of one day to shoot the whole thing, and then about 2 weeks of like 4 days a week, 4 hours a day trying to edit it. And I was kind of, I was pretty new to the whole editing and scoring a short film. And so there's a lot of troubleshooting that it wouldn't take me nearly as long now, but the experience I had then, it took me quite a while.
The editor's main job, in my mind, is to focus the viewer's attention. And the editor focuses the viewer's attention by choosing the shots and placing them in a very strategic order so that story information is unfolded in a way that keeps the audience involved and engaged.
But that's also where the story really came together, and that's where I did most of the creative process of that short film, was in the edit room, really.
My professor, Brad Wolfley, always says
Garbage in, garbage out.
which means if it's not good quality when you capture it, it's not going to be good quality in your product at the end. So I always try to avoid fixing it in post.
So you made your short film, now you want to get it seen.
You can just start a whole array of different opportunities for your project to excel farther than just the classroom.
You can create your own Vimeo channel, you can create your own YouTube channel and distribute your films that way.
You don't just need a studio to pick it up. You can start doing festivals.
So in order to get your film out on the festival circuit, what you need to do is just go online and research festivals in the US, around the world, and see where your film falls in as far as genre goes, whether it's comedy, whether it's horror. Find those festivals, see what their submission time is, what their date is, and submit it to it, and hopefully get it seen.
I mean, there are a million ways. I mean, it's easy nowadays to distribute your work in ways that people will see it.
It was awesome seeing it up on a big screen. I mean, it totally changed how I was seeing it rather than on a computer screen. It was a little nerve-wracking having people watch your work, and you get to hear like every little reaction that, if they laugh at the right parts, or if, it seems like there's dramatic tension in the room.
This goes out to all you aspiring young filmmakers out there.
If you're making a short film, my advice would be to find people that you can collaborate with.
Collaborate with others. That's very important. You need to be easy to work with.
Don't think that you can do it all on your own, because you can't.
So to see everybody come together, probably a total of about 40 people come together and make a film together, was the best part of making Placed.
Take chances right now. You can afford to. You're not out in the real world yet.
Not being afraid to let someone else's idea come into play. It's really just about being open.
Go with your instincts, do what you think is right.
Not being closed to like new things or being attached to the script or what your idea was in the beginning is important, because I think a lot of great stuff can come just in the moment.
Seeing that the final product is still, exceeding my expectations is really cool.
To me, that makes a great short film.